Gentlemen, this deal will change everything. $3 billion and...
Sir, don't sign this contract.
What? Wait!
What if 5 whispered words could destroy an empire? The conference room fell silent as Adana, the 52-year-old cleaning lady in her faded blue uniform, leaned close to billionaire Kwame Osei's ear. Her weathered hands trembled as she whispered, "Sir, don't sign this contract." Every executive around the mahogany table froze. The golden pen hovered inches above the document that would merge Osei Industries with the powerful Chen Corporation, a deal worth $3 billion. Kwame's hand stopped midair, his dark eyes widening. The woman who'd silently mopped these floors for 15 years had never spoken directly to him. Not once. And now, with cameras rolling, investors watching, and his entire board of directors present, she'd just interrupted the biggest deal of his life. Marcus Chen, the silver-haired CEO across the table, turned red. "Security! Remove this woman immediately!" But Kwame raised his other hand, halting the guards rushing toward them. Something in Adana's eyes, a desperate urgency he'd never seen before, made him pause. "Wait," he commanded, his deep voice cutting through the chaos. Adana's voice was barely audible. "The clause on page 47, sir. Section 12.3. I cleaned Mr. Chen's office too. I've seen the real documents." Kwame's heart pounded. This was insane. His legal team had reviewed this contract for months. His chief financial officer, Jerome, the man he'd trusted for 12 years, had personally vouched for every detail. And yet this cleaning woman who earned minimum wage was telling him to stop. Jerome jumped to his feet, his expensive suit catching the light. "Mr. Osei, this is completely inappropriate. We cannot let the help disrupt a multi-billion-dollar negotiation. Mrs. Adana clearly doesn't understand corporate law." "Then explain Section 12.3 to me, Jerome," Kwame said slowly, his eyes never leaving his CFO's face. Jerome's confident smile faltered for just a split second. "It's a standard liability protection clause, sir. Nothing unusual." "Read it," Kwame demanded, pushing the thick contract toward him. "Out loud." The room grew thick with tension. Marcus Chen stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the polished floor. "Kwame, we've been colleagues for 5 years. Are you really going to let some cleaning woman sabotage this deal? We have a schedule to keep." But Adana stepped forward, her voice stronger now. "Section 12.3 transfers all intellectual property rights of Osei Industries to Chen Corporation upon signing, including patents, trade secrets, and proprietary technology. Not upon merger completion, upon signing. You'd own nothing, Mr. Osei. Everything your father built, everything you've worked for would belong to Mr. Chen the moment that ink dries." The color drained from Kwame's face. He grabbed the contract, flipping frantically to page 47. His hands shook as he read the dense legal language. There it was, buried in technical jargon designed to be overlooked. A complete transfer of ownership disguised as a protection clause. "Jerome," Kwame's voice was ice. "Did you know about this?" Jerome's face had gone pale. I must have missed it during review. These contracts are thousands of pages." "You missed it?" Kwame stood, his 6'3" frame towering over the table. "The single most important clause in the entire agreement, and you missed it?" Adana spoke again, her voice steady despite her trembling hands. "He didn't miss it, sir. Last Thursday night, I was cleaning the executive floor late. Mr. Jerome and Mr. Chen were in the conference room. They didn't see me behind the partition. I heard Mr. Jerome say, 'Once he signs, you'll control everything,' and we split it 70-30 as agreed." The room erupted. Board members shouted over each other. Marcus Chen's security team moved toward the exits. Jerome lunged for the contract, but Kwame snatched it away first. "Lies!" Jerome shouted. "Complete lies from a desperate woman trying to be important." But Kwame's eyes had changed. The warmth that usually resided there had frozen into something harder. He looked at Adana, really looked at her for the first time despite her working in his building for 15 years. She met his gaze without flinching, this woman who probably earned in a year what he spent on a weekend vacation. "Security," Kwame said quietly. "Detain Jerome and Mr. Chen, call my attorneys, and someone get Adana a chair and water. We're going to have a very long conversation." Marcus Chen smiled coldly. "You're making a mistake, Kwame, a very expensive mistake. I have copies of this contract already filed with regulatory bodies. I have your preliminary signatures on the intent documents. I have leverage you don't even know about yet. Kwame's phone buzzed. Then again, and again. He glanced down at the screen and his blood ran cold. What he saw there would change everything. Don't forget to like and subscribe right now because what happens next will leave you absolutely speechless. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss the revelation that exposes just how deep this betrayal goes. What would you do if someone you trusted for over a decade tried to steal everything from you? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Kwame's phone screen displayed a message from an unknown number. Your daughter, Zara, we have her. Sign the contract and she lives. Refuse and you'll never see her again. You have 60 seconds. The phone slipped from his fingers, clattering onto the polished table. Every person in the room turned to look at him as the color drained completely from his face. His daughter, his only child, his 17-year-old baby girl, who should have been safe at her private school across town. What is it? His head of security, Thomas, asked urgently. Kwame couldn't speak. His throat had closed. Zara's face flashed through his mind, her bright smile, her laugh that sounded exactly like her late mother's. She was supposed to text him after her chemistry exam. That was 2 hours ago. He'd been too busy preparing for this meeting to notice she hadn't. Adana saw his expression and moved closer. Mr. Osei, what's wrong? He showed her the message, his hands shaking violently now. Adana's eyes widened, but then something unexpected happened. She straightened her spine, and her voice became commanding in a way that shocked everyone present. Mr. Chen doesn't have your daughter, she said firmly. This is a bluff. I know because I heard them planning this exact scenario last Thursday. They expected you might hesitate, so they prepared this fake threat. Your daughter is safe. How can you possibly know that? Kwame's voice cracked with desperate hope and terror. Because Mr. Jerome's phone rang during their meeting. He put it on speaker. It was someone discussing this exact backup plan. They said, and I remember the exact words, if he resists, send the daughter message. He'll panic and sign immediately. We don't actually need to touch her. Just the threat is enough. Marcus Chen's confident expression flickered. Just for a moment, but Kwame caught it. You're gambling with my child's life, Kwame shouted at Adana, though his anger was born from fear, not rage. Then call her school, Adana said calmly. Right now. Verify she's safe before you make any decision. Kwame grabbed his phone with trembling fingers and dialed Zara's private number. It rang once, twice, 3 times. His heart hammered so hard he thought it might burst through his chest. On the 4th ring, she answered. Dad, what's up? I'm literally in the middle of lunch with Destiny and Amara. The relief that flooded through him was so powerful his knees nearly buckled. Zara, baby, are you okay? Are you at school? Yes, Dad. Oh my God, you sound weird. Are you okay? Stay exactly where you are. Don't leave campus. I'm sending Thomas to get you right now with extra security. Don't ask questions. Just do what I say. Dad, you're scaring me. I love you, sweetheart. Just stay safe. He ended the call and locked eyes with Marcus Chen. The fury that rose in him was volcanic. You threatened my child. I did no such thing, Marcus said smoothly, but sweat had appeared on his upper lip. Anyone could have sent that message. You have enemies, Kwame. Perhaps you should be thanking me for trying to help you consolidate your assets into a more secure position. Kwame turned to his security team. Lock down this room. No one leaves until the police arrive. I want every person here investigated, their phones examined, their communications traced. Jerome made a sudden dash for the door, but 2 security guards caught him before he'd taken 3 steps. He struggled in their grip, his carefully styled hair falling into his face. You don't understand, Kwame. They'll kill me if I don't deliver this deal. I owe them money, serious money, gambling debts. They said they'd hurt my family. So you decided to destroy mine instead? Kwame's voice was cold as winter. You decided to sell out everything my father built, to steal from me, to threaten my daughter? I didn't threaten Zara. That wasn't me. That was all Marcus's idea. Marcus Chen stood slowly, his composure cracking. Careful, Jerome. Very careful what you say next. But Jerome was panicking now, words tumbling out desperately. It was his plan from the beginning. 6 months ago, he approached me. He knew about my debts, knew I was desperate. He said if I helped him acquire Osei Industries from the inside, he'd clear my debts and give me $30 million. All I had to do was slip that clause into the contract and convince you to sign without reading every detail. Adana spoke up again. There's more, Mr. Osei. Last Thursday, they mentioned something about offshore accounts. Mr. Jerome has been moving money out of Osei Industries for 8 months. Small amounts each time, hidden in operating expenses and vendor payments. They said it totaled almost $20 million. Kwame spun to face his CFO. $20 million? Jerome's face had gone from pale to gray. She's lying. She's just a cleaning woman. She doesn't understand what she heard. Then let's check, Kwame said. He pulled out his laptop, fingers flying across the keyboard as he accessed the company's financial systems. His personal passwords gave him access to everything, including audit trails Jerome thought were hidden. The room waited in tense silence as Kwame searched. 2 minutes passed, then 5. Then his face went hard as stone. $19.7 million, he said quietly, moved to a shell corporation called Meridian Holdings over the past 8 months. Small transfers, never more than $300,000 at a time, hidden in consulting fees, equipment purchases, software licensing. He looked up at Jerome with such betrayal in his eyes that even the hardened security guards looked away. 12 years, Jerome. I trusted you with everything. You met my daughter when she was 5 years old. You came to my wife's funeral. You held my hand at her grave and promised me you'd always have my back. Jerome was crying now, tears streaming down his face. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. The gambling, it destroyed me. I was going to lose my house, my kids' college funds, everything. Marcus promised me a way out. By burying me instead, Kwame finished. The door burst open suddenly. Police officers flooded into the room, followed by FBI agents in Navy windbreakers. Thomas had clearly called them the moment things started unraveling. A tall black woman in a sharp suit stepped forward, her FBI badge glinting. I'm Special Agent Imani Walker. We've been investigating Chen Corporation for securities fraud for 6 months. Mr. Osei, we'd like to speak with your cleaning lady. Mrs. Adana, I believe? Everyone turned to look at Adana, who stood calmly in her faded uniform, her gray hair pulled back in a simple bun. Agent Walker smiled slightly. We've had an undercover operative working in this building for the past year. Someone no one would notice or suspect. Someone who could move freely through executive offices and observe without raising suspicion. Kwame's eyes widened as understanding crashed over him. You're not really a cleaning lady. Adana met his gaze steadily. Actually, sir, I am a cleaning lady. I've been doing this job for 15 years and I'm good at it. But for the last 12 months, I've also been working with the FBI. They approached me when they suspected insider trading and fraud in this building. They needed eyes and ears everywhere. The revelation hit Kwame like a physical blow. He staggered backward, gripping the edge of the conference table. 15 years, he whispered. You've worked for me for 15 years and I never even knew your last name. Adana's expression softened. It's Okoro, sir. Adana Okoro. Agent Walker stepped forward, pulling out a tablet. Mrs. Okoro came to us initially as a witness. She'd noticed irregularities while cleaning executive offices at night. Documents left on desks, conversations overheard, suspicious meetings. She brought us evidence of money laundering, securities fraud, and corporate espionage spanning multiple companies, not just yours. Marcus Chen laughed bitterly from where he stood between two officers. Brought down by the help. How poetic. Show some respect, Kwame snapped, his voice sharp as a blade. That woman has more integrity in her little finger than you'll ever have. Agent Walker continued, Mr. Chen, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit fraud, attempted theft of intellectual property, wire fraud, and extortion. Mr. Jerome Williams, you're also under arrest for embezzlement, conspiracy, and securities fraud. She nodded to her team, who moved forward with handcuffs. Jerome was sobbing openly now as the cold metal closed around his wrists. Kwame, please, my kids. They'll grow up knowing their father is a criminal. You should have thought about that before you betrayed me, Kwame said coldly. But even as he spoke, a small part of him ached. Jerome's children were innocent. They didn't deserve this pain. As the officers led Marcus and Jerome toward the door, Marcus turned back with a venomous smile. You think this is over, Kwame? I have partners, powerful people who don't like losing. This building, your company, your precious daughter, they're all still vulnerable. Enjoy your victory while it lasts. The threat hung in the air even after they dragged him away. Kwame felt the weight of it settle on his shoulders like a heavy cloak. Agent Walker seemed to read his mind. We'll provide security details for you and your daughter until we've rounded up all of Chen's associates. This operation is bigger than just corporate fraud. We've uncovered connections to international money laundering and organized crime. Kwame turned to face Adana, really seeing her for the first time in all these years. She was shorter than he'd realized, maybe 5 feet 4 inches. Her face was lined with age and hard work, her hands rough and calloused. She wore no jewelry except a simple gold cross on a thin chain. Her cleaning uniform was spotless but worn, probably washed 1,000 times. Why didn't you tell me? He asked quietly. In 15 years, why didn't you ever say anything? Adana's eyes filled with an emotion he couldn't quite name. Because you never asked, sir. Not once in 15 years did you ever ask me my name, or about my life, or even how my day was going. I was invisible to you. The words struck him like arrows, each one finding its mark. Shame flooded through him, hot and uncomfortable. I'm sorry, he said, and meant it. That's inexcusable. You're not cruel, Adana said gently. You're just busy, like most people. But I watched you, Mr. Osei, every day for 15 years. I saw you donate quietly to your employees' medical funds when they got sick. I saw you pay for the security guard's daughter's wedding when her father couldn't afford it. I saw you give Christmas bonuses big enough to change lives. You're a good man. You just forgot to see the people right in front of you. Kwame felt something crack open in his chest. When had he become so focused on billion-dollar deals that he'd stopped noticing the human beings who made his life possible? Tell me about yourself, he said. Please, I want to know. Adana smiled, surprised. I'm 52 years old. I came to America from Nigeria 23 years ago with my husband and our son. My husband, Chidi, died 8 years ago from cancer. Our son, Obiora, is a teacher in Chicago. I have 3 grandchildren I see twice a year because I work 6 days a week to pay off my husband's medical debts. Medical debts? Kwame's voice was sharp. How much? Sir, that's not why I'm telling you this. How much? Adana. She hesitated. $47,000, but I have a payment plan. I'll have it paid off in 6 more years. 6 more years. She'd be 58 years old, her body worn down from decades of manual labor, still working to pay for the medicine that couldn't save her husband. Kwame pulled out his phone and called his personal accountant. David, I need you to pay off a debt immediately. $47,000, medical debt under the name Chidi Okoro. Call every hospital and collection agency until you find it. Pay it in full today. He paused. And David, set up a trust fund. $250,000. Beneficiary is Adana Okoro. Sir, no, Adana protested. I can't accept that. You saved my company, Kwame said firmly. You saved me from losing everything my father built. You protected my daughter from danger, and more than that, you showed me who I've become and gave me a chance to be better. He turned to Agent Walker. I assume her work with the FBI is finished? Actually, Agent Walker said, we'd like to offer Mrs. Okoro a permanent consulting position. Her observational skills are exceptional. She'd be paid significantly more than cleaning wages. Adana's eyes widened. A real job with the FBI? A real job, Agent Walker confirmed. If you want it. But Kwame interrupted. Or if you prefer, I'd like to offer you a position as head of corporate integrity at Osei Industries. Your job would be to make sure what happened today never happens again. To watch, to observe, to keep us honest. The salary would be $150,000 a year, plus full benefits, plus a pension. Adana's legs seemed to give out. She sat down hard in one of the leather conference chairs, these seats she'd cleaned 1,000 times but never sat in. I don't understand. Why would you do this? Because you earned it, Kwame said simply. And because I need someone I can trust. Someone who sees everything and everyone. Someone who isn't afraid to speak truth to power. Tears rolled down Adana's weathered cheeks. My son, He always told me I was wasting my education cleaning floors. I have a degree in accounting from Nigeria, but it wasn't recognized here. I took the cleaning job because it was all I could get. Kwame felt the shame deepen. A degree in accounting. She'd been qualified to work in his finance department all along, and he'd never known because he'd never asked. Then this is long overdue, he said. Will you accept? Adana wiped her eyes and stood, straightening her uniform with dignity. On one condition, that you see the other cleaning staff, that you learn their names, their stories. Because every single person in this building matters, Mr. Osei. From the CEO to the night janitor. We're all human beings trying to survive, trying to provide for our families, trying to matter. Kwame extended his hand. You have my word. She shook it firmly, her calloused hand gripping his smooth one. Agent Walker cleared her throat. As touching as this is, we still have work to do. Mr. Osei, we need to debrief you on everything we've uncovered about Chen Corporation's network. There are at least 4 other executives we suspect are involved. Kwame nodded, but his attention was caught by something outside the window. A black SUV had pulled up to the building's entrance. Men in dark suits were getting out, and they didn't look like FBI agents. Agent Walker, he said slowly, his instincts screaming danger. Did you bring backup in a black Escalade? She followed his gaze, and her hand went immediately to her weapon. No, everyone get down, now! The conference room window exploded inward in a shower of glass just as the first gunshot rang out. If this story has you on the edge of your seat, smash that like button and subscribe for more intense tales. Share this with someone who loves plot twists because this story is far from over. What would you do if your entire company was built on lies you never saw coming? Comment below. Kwame hit the floor hard, his ears ringing from the gunshot. Glass rained down around him like deadly snow, cutting his hands as he crawled toward cover. Agent Walker was shouting into her radio, calling for backup, her weapon drawn and aimed toward the shattered window. The other FBI agents had formed a protective barrier around the doorway, guns ready. Stay down, Agent Walker commanded. Everyone, stay down. Another shot cracked through the air, splintering the wooden conference table. Kwame's heart hammered as he realized how exposed they were. 20 floors up, glass walls on 2 sides, only one exit. They were trapped. Adana was on the floor nearby, her face pressed against the carpet, and Kwame's instinct kicked in. He crawled toward her, covering her body with his own. Are you hit? Adana, are you hurt? I'm okay, she gasped. Mr. Osei, you need to protect yourself. Not a chance, he said firmly. Thomas, his head of security, was on his phone, his voice urgent. Lockdown protocol. Now, seal all entrances. We have active shooters outside the building. He looked at Kwame. Sir, we need to get you to the panic room. 5th floor, reinforced walls, separate exit. How do we get there with shooters outside? One of the board members cried from where he'd taken cover under the table. Agent Walker's radio crackled. This is SWAT Team Charlie. We're 3 minutes out. Repeat, 3 minutes. Can you hold position? Negative, Agent Walker responded. We're exposed up here. We need to move to a secure location. Another barrage of bullets tore through what remained of the windows. Computer monitors exploded, sending sparks flying. A bullet hit the wall 6 inches from Kwame's head, and he felt the spray of drywall dust against his face. They're not trying to kill us, Adana said suddenly, her voice surprisingly calm despite the chaos. Look at the pattern. They're shooting high, forcing us toward the door. Agent Walker's eyes narrowed. She's right. This is a herding tactic. She spoke urgently into her radio. All units, be advised, they're trying to push us into a trap. Check the hallway outside this conference room. The response came back immediately, tight with tension. Agent Walker, we have 3 armed suspects in the hallway. They're positioned between you and the elevator banks. You're boxed in. Kwame felt ice flood his veins. Marcus Chen's words echoed in his mind. I have partners. Powerful people who don't like losing. How did they mobilize this fast? Kwame asked. Marcus and Jerome were just arrested 20 minutes ago. They were waiting, Agent Walker said grimly. This was always their backup plan. If Chen couldn't get your company legitimately, they'd take it by force. With you dead, your assets would go into probate. Easy to manipulate, easy to steal during the chaos. Thomas crawled over to them, his face set with determination. Sir, there's a service elevator the cleaning staff uses. Runs from this floor down to the basement. It's behind the storage closet in the break room next door. Adana lifted her head. I know that elevator. It's old, hasn't been inspected in years. The company was planning to decommission it. Will it work? Agent Walker asked. It should, Adana said. I used it 2 days ago. Then that's our exit, Agent Walker decided. She called to her team. We move in 30 seconds, covering formation, civilians in the center. But Kwame was thinking about something else. My employees. There are 300 people in this building. We can't just save ourselves. The building's in lockdown, Thomas assured him. Everyone's sheltering in place. The shooters seem focused on this floor only. Because they want me specifically, Kwame said, the realization settling heavy in his gut. Another voice crackled through the building's intercom system, and Kwame's blood ran cold. It was Marcus Chen's voice, smooth and confident despite his arrest. Kwame, my friend, I hope you're listening. My associates outside would very much like to have a conversation with you. Come down peacefully, sign the transfer documents they have prepared, and everyone else walks away unharmed. You have 5 minutes to decide. After that, we start visiting other floors. I believe your daughter's school is only 15 minutes from here. My people are very fast drivers. Kwame's world tilted. Zara! Where's Zara? Thomas, did she get to safety? Thomas's face went pale as he checked his phone. Sir, my team was supposed to have her 10 minutes ago. They're not responding. The panic that seized Kwame was primal. Absolute. His daughter. His baby girl. I have to go down there. I have to give them what they want. No! Adana grabbed his arm with surprising strength. That's exactly what they want. They'll kill you the moment you sign, and they'll kill your daughter anyway because she's a witness. She's right, Agent Walker said. These people don't leave loose ends. Kwame's phone buzzed. A video message. With shaking hands, he opened it. The screen showed Zara, his beautiful daughter, sitting in the back of a van. She wasn't hurt, but her eyes were wide with terror. A masked man stood beside her. A digitized voice spoke. Sign the papers, Kwame. You have 4 minutes. Pure rage flooded through Kwame, burning away the fear. I'm going to destroy them, he said quietly. Every single one of them. First, we need to survive, Agent Walker said. She looked at Adana. That service elevator, how much weight can it hold? Maybe 6 people safely, Adana said. Then we split up. I'll take Mr. Osei and Mrs. Okoro in the elevator. My team will create a diversion, draw the shooters away from the civilians, and escort everyone else down the main stairwell once we've cleared a path. I'm not leaving my people, Kwame protested. You're not, Agent Walker said firmly. You're being strategic. They want you. If you're moving, their attention follows you. That gives everyone else a better chance. She looked him dead in the eye. And if we're going to save your daughter, we need you alive and free, not captured or dead. The logic was sound, but every instinct screamed at Kwame to fight, to charge down there himself. Adana seemed to sense his struggle. Mr. Osei, she said gently, I have grandchildren. 3 beautiful babies I haven't seen enough because I'm always working. If something happens to me today, at least I got to see them last Christmas. But Zara is 17. She has her whole life ahead of her. We get you out, we save her. That's what matters. Kwame nodded, not trusting his voice. Move now, Agent Walker ordered. They crawled toward the door, staying low as bullets continued to punch through the walls above them. Agent Walker's team provided covering fire, their shots precise and controlled. They reached the hallway and sprinted toward the break room, their footsteps silent on the carpeted floor. Behind them, Kwame heard the FBI agents calling out to the shooters, their voices echoing down the corridor. The shooting paused, attention diverted. They burst into the break room. Adana led them to the storage closet, pushing aside mops and cleaning supplies to reveal an old metal door. She pulled a key from her pocket and unlocked it. The service elevator was tiny, barely big enough for the 3 of them. It looked ancient, with rust spots on the walls and a control panel that belonged in a museum. Are we sure about this? Agent Walker asked. No, Adana admitted, but it's better odds than the hallway. They stepped inside. Adana pressed the button for the basement. The elevator groaned to life, cables creaking ominously as they began to descend. They dropped 2 floors when the elevator suddenly shuddered and stopped. The lights went out, plunging them into complete darkness. And somewhere above them, They heard the sound of gunfire intensifying, followed by screams. We're at the halfway point of this incredible story. Where in the world are you watching from? Drop your country or city in the comments, because we love seeing our global audience. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button now. What do you think happened to Zara? Is she still alive? Share your theories below and let's discuss. The darkness in the stalled elevator was suffocating. Kwame's breath came in sharp gasps as claustrophobia clawed at his throat. Above them, the gunfire had stopped, replaced by an eerie silence that was somehow worse. They cut the power, Agent Walker said, her voice steady despite their situation. They're hunting floor by floor. Kwame pulled out his phone, using its light to illuminate their metal cage. The dim glow revealed Adana's calm face, her eyes closed as if in prayer. Agent Walker was already on her radio, but only static answered. We're trapped, Kwame said, fighting to keep the desperation from his voice. Zara's out there somewhere, and I'm stuck in a metal coffin. No, Adana said firmly, opening her eyes. We're not trapped. We're exactly where we need to be. She reached up and pushed on a ceiling panel. It didn't budge. She tried again, harder this time, and the panel shifted. There's a maintenance shaft, she explained. I've seen the repair crews use it. It runs the full height of the building. Agent Walker boosted herself up, pushing the panel aside completely. She pulled out a small flashlight and examined the shaft above. It's tight but navigable. There's a ladder built into the wall. Where does it go? Kwame asked. Everywhere, Adana said. The basement, the parking garage, even the roof. It's how maintenance accesses the elevator systems. Hope sparked in Kwame's chest. The parking garage. If we can get to my car, there's a tracker on Zara's phone linked to my vehicle system. I can find her. They climbed up into the darkness. One by one. The shaft was claustrophobic, the metal ladder slick with decades of grease. Kwame's expensive suit was ruined, but he didn't care. Every rung brought him closer to his daughter. They descended 3 floors when they heard voices below them in the shaft. Check every floor. Boss wants Ose alive, but if he resists, put him down. The voice was cold, professional. These weren't amateurs. Agent Walker pressed a finger to her lips, signaling silence. They froze on the ladder, barely breathing. Kwame could hear his heart pounding so loudly he was certain the men below could hear it too. The voices faded as the searchers moved away. They continued climbing down, every muscle in Kwame's body screaming with tension and fear. Finally, they reached the basement level. Agent Walker carefully opened the access panel and checked the corridor beyond. Clear. Move. They dropped into the basement, a maze of pipes and utility equipment. The parking garage was 50 feet away through a secure door. Kwame ran toward it, but Adana caught his arm. Wait. If they're smart, they'll have people watching your car. She was right. Through the small window in the door, Kwame could see 2 armed men standing near his black Mercedes S-Class. I have an idea, Adana said. She disappeared into the utility room and returned moments later, pushing a large industrial cleaning cart filled with supplies. She pulled off her FBI badge and stuffed it in her pocket, looking once again like just another cleaning lady. They won't notice me. No one ever does. Before Kwame could protest, she pushed through the door into the parking garage, humming softly to herself as she wheeled the cart toward the elevator banks on the far side. The armed men barely glanced at her. Agent Walker whispered into her radio. All units, we're in the parking garage. Need immediate backup. The response was crackling but audible this time. SWAT is engaging hostiles on floors 10 through 15. We've secured the lobby. Backup en route to your location. ETA 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Kwame watched through the window as Adana slowly worked her way across the garage, stopping occasionally to wipe down a car or empty a trash can. She was drawing the guards' attention away from Kwame's vehicle. Then everything happened at once. Adana stumbled, spilling her cleaning cart directly in front of the 2 guards. Supplies scattered everywhere. Oh, I'm so sorry, she exclaimed in accented English. My old hands, they don't work so good anymore. The guards bent down automatically to help her pick up the fallen items. In that moment of distraction, Agent Walker moved. She burst through the door with her weapon drawn. FBI, hands up, now! The guards reached for their weapons, but Agent Walker was faster. Two precise shots, not to kill, but to disarm. Both guns clattered to the concrete as the men yelped in pain, grabbing their wounded hands. Kwame sprinted to his Mercedes, using his key fob to unlock it. He threw himself into the driver's seat and activated the tracking system. His fingers flew across the screen as he pulled up Zara's phone location. There, a pulsing dot on the map moving through the city. She was 12 miles away, heading toward the industrial district near the port. "I've got her," he shouted. "She's moving toward the docks." Agent Walker had secured the two wounded guards with zip ties. "We wait for backup." "There's no time," Kwame's voice broke. "They could kill her any second." Adana climbed into the passenger seat. "Then we don't wait. Agent Walker, call your backup and tell them where we're going. Mr. O.C. and I will follow that tracker." "That's insane," Agent Walker protested. "You're not trained for this." "No," Adana agreed, "but I'm a mother, and that girl needs us now." Agent Walker looked between them, seeing the determination in their eyes. She made her decision. "I'm coming with you, but I drive." She practically shoved Kwame into the back seat and took the wheel. The Mercedes roared to life, and they exploded out of the parking garage into the afternoon sunlight. Agent Walker drove like a woman possessed, weaving through traffic as she radioed their position and destination to her team. Kwame watched the tracker on his phone, his knuckles white as he gripped the device. "Faster, please, faster." "They're stopping," Adana observed, watching over his shoulder. "The dot isn't moving anymore?" They reached the industrial district in 8 minutes, a drive that should have taken 20. The area was abandoned, full of rusting warehouses and forgotten shipping containers. Agent Walker killed the engine 2 blocks away from the tracker's location. "We go in quiet," she instructed. "Stay behind me." They moved through the shadows between buildings, the late afternoon sun casting long shadows across cracked pavement. The tracker led them to a large warehouse with broken windows and a faded sign for a shipping company that had gone bankrupt years ago. Through a gap in the wall, Kwame could see them. 6 armed men, 2 black vans, and in the center, tied to a chair, was Zara, his daughter. She was alive but terrified, tears streaming down her face. Standing beside her was a man Kwame recognized. Richard Mbeki, his former business rival, the man he'd outbid for a major government contract 3 years ago. "This isn't about Chen at all," Kwame whispered. "This is revenge." Richard was talking to Zara, his voice carrying across the empty warehouse. "Your father humiliated me, little girl. Cost me $200 million. Made me look weak in front of my investors. So now I'm going to take everything from him, just like he took everything from me." Agent Walker was on her radio, whispering urgently. "We need SWAT now. We have 6 armed hostiles and 1 hostage." "SWAT is 10 minutes out," came the response. "We don't have 10 minutes, Kwame said, watching as Richard pulled out a gun and pressed it against Zara's temple. His daughter's scream pierced his soul. Adana placed a hand on his arm. "Sometimes, Mr. Ose, the greatest power isn't in boardrooms or bank accounts. It's in being willing to sacrifice everything for what matters most." Kwame understood. He stood up, stepping out of the shadows into the open warehouse entrance. "Richard, I'm here! Take me instead!" Every gun swung toward him. Richard's face split into a cruel smile. "Kwame Osi, the great billionaire. Look at you now, covered in dust and desperation." "Let my daughter go," Kwame said, walking slowly forward, hands raised. "Your problem is with me, not her." "Oh, but you're wrong," Richard said. "My problem is making you suffer. And what better way than to make you watch her die first?" "No!" Kwame lunged forward, but 2 guards grabbed him, forcing him to his knees beside Zara. She was sobbing, and it broke something fundamental inside him. "Dad, I'm sorry," she cried. "I'm so sorry." "Shh, baby girl, it's okay. Everything's going to be okay." Richard laughed. "Touching, really. But unfortunately for both of you, this story doesn't have a happy ending." He raised the gun. The shot that rang out didn't come from Richard's weapon. It came from above. Everyone looked up to see Agent Walker on a catwalk 20 feet above them, her rifle aimed and steady. "Drop your weapons, FBI!" The warehouse suddenly flooded with red laser sights as SWAT team members poured in from every entrance. They'd arrived early, moving silently into position, while Kwame had provided the distraction. Richard's men didn't even try to fight. They dropped their weapons, hands in the air. Richard himself stood frozen, the gun still in his hand but useless now. "It's over, Richard," Kwame said quietly. "You lost." The next hour was a blur of activity. Paramedics checked Zara for injuries. Police took statements. FBI agents arrested everyone involved. Kwame held his daughter, feeling her heart beat against his chest, and knew he'd never take a single moment with her for granted again. As the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Kwame found Adana sitting on the hood of his Mercedes, looking exhausted but peaceful. "I never thanked you properly," he said, sitting beside her. "You saved my life, my company, and my daughter." "I just did what was right," she said simply. "No," Kwame said. "You did what was extraordinary, and you showed me something I'd forgotten. That every person matters. That dignity and worth aren't determined by job titles or bank accounts." 2 weeks later, Kwame stood before his entire company in the main auditorium. Every employee was there, from executives to maintenance staff. "I've learned something recently," he said, his voice carrying to every corner of the room. "I've learned that I've been blind. I built this company on the foundation of people I never truly saw. That changes today." He gestured to the screen behind him, which displayed a new company initiative. "Effective immediately, all employees will receive a 20% raise. We're implementing profit sharing across every level. We're adding full medical coverage with no deductibles. And we're creating a scholarship fund for employees' children." The room erupted in applause, but Kwame held up his hand. "More importantly, I'm implementing a new position. Chief of Corporate Integrity. Someone whose job is to keep us honest, to see what others might miss, to ensure that every person in this building is valued and heard." He smiled. "Adana Okoro has accepted this position." Adana stood from the front row, tears in her eyes, as the entire room gave her a standing ovation. Later that evening, Kwame sat in his office with Zara, teaching her about the business she would one day inherit. Through the window, he could see Adana in her new office, already hard at work. "Dad," Zara said quietly, "I'm proud of you." Kwame pulled her close. "I'm proud of us both, sweetheart. We survived, and we're going to be better for it. In the end, it wasn't the billions in the bank or the office on the top floor that mattered. It was the people who saw you when you needed to be seen, who spoke truth when you needed to hear it, and who reminded you that dignity and worth were gifts we all deserved, regardless of the uniforms we wore or the floors we cleaned. And sometimes the greatest wisdom came from the most unexpected places, whispered by those we'd overlooked for far too long." If this story moved you, if it made you think differently about the people around you, then hit that subscribe button right now. Smash that like button and share this story with everyone who needs to hear it. Have you ever overlooked someone who turned out to be extraordinary? Have you ever been that overlooked person? Share your stories in the comments below, because everyone deserves to be seen, everyone deserves to be heard, and every story matters. Thank you for watching, and remember, sometimes the most important voices are the ones we almost didn't hear.